So the target... Let's focus our view. So when we'll be there, the target will be there. So that means that we should be able to move a little bit to the side and get a better encounter. I like that encounter. Let's adjust this. There we go. Adjust this gently. This is gonna be quite a bit of fuel though. That's okay, we have that in our budget. We could probably get a better... No, look at how inefficient this is. No, this is terrible. Let's focus back on Kerbal. Yeah, you're gonna make a refueling station around Minimus and have the surface base mining ore and making fuel. Oh, you know, once you have a refueling station on Minimus, I mean, you could just hop back and forth there. But that's that was an idea I was gonna try as well, because I have the contract to go to Minimus to establish a base on Minimus. I figured it would be a good idea to just do a refueling station because, well, as we know, Minimus has such low gravity. It is really beneficial to... It's really beneficial to just dig for fuel right there. Let's see, I think this puts us on intercept course, doesn't it? Yeah. So let's try and adjust our orbit a little bit. Perfect. That is how I like to see him. Now this takes 859. We can do most of that with our current engine, but our next one's gonna be a lot weaker, so we're gonna have to take that into account. It's gonna be a little bit tricky. Now I'm gonna tap the RCS here as before because it is extremely wasteful to be using RCS together with the SAS, because the SAS loves to waste your RCS. What is the mission that I got? Conduct a survey of the magnetic field environment around Minimus. Oh, good. That's one of these subcomponents, if you remember. So what that is that we transmitted the science for the magnetic field. Magnetometer scan. So now all we have to do is wait. Also really need precise maneuver nodes. Mod seems so nice. You keep forgetting to get it. Oh, it is a lifesaver. I have to admit, this is actually the first time that I've used it myself as well, and it has become so useful. I have become a big fan of it just in the ease of use of adjusting these small little points. That's the magnetometer scan. That was the second thing that we needed to transmit, the radio plasma wave, which gives us even more science, 105.4. Now, let's adjust for our insertion. Look at that RCS blasting away. Very, very wasteful, but that's alright. So I'm gonna stay in this view for a little bit because we know that our 781 is not gonna fulfill this requirement. So we can blast this one completely, and then after I switch over, I switch to the map view just to make sure that we're adjusting carefully. The need to make that stock? I can imagine it being very useful in stock. There's things like the flight engineer data. That's the type of thing I think really should be stock, because everybody uses 2, 1, blast. Everybody uses either Kerbal Engineer or MechJeb. Precise nodes, I don't think the entirety of the precise node would be necessary, because it's quite extensive. Oh look, we're above the KSC. Huh. What are the odds? Okay, this will be done in 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowing down. Oh, that was a little bit too swift already. I'm going to use the RCS to adjust this one into an orbit that I like. 20 kilometers. I like that orbit. Oh, here's the problem. I needed to be over there. So, rather than be wasteful and try to adjust it later, we're going to need to see if we can adjust. Whoa, 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 whoa. No? Is that not how you adjust it? This is how you adjust it. Okay. I'm going to see if we can adjust this early on to get us into a polar orbit. Now you can see that now it doesn't take too much. But imagine how much it would have taken had we done this later. Because I can tell you, then it would have taken quite a bit. So this is going to be a bit of a weird orbit. 70. I think it would have taken at least 100 to do this on the spot. But I want to do it like this, because then I can circularize here. We're going to be in a very low orbit while this thing rotates. And I think it's going to be easier to land when we're here, because if we're in an equatorial orbit, we're going to stay around the middle, whereas where we need to be is around the top. So, this is the one I want. Let's add a maneuver node for this, which is in 6 minutes. Well, alright then. Let's adjust to where we need to be. How much would it weigh to make a self-sustaining hab for 1 Kerbal? I don't know exactly, because in this game, I don't think it can be fully self-sustaining. I know that in the MKS, that's the colonization mod that I'm using. I know that in MKS, it is possible to create a self-sustaining base, but it's supposed to be pretty darn late game. And with the life support that I have going, there's a bunch of resources that you just don't mine. So even then, I think you need, if it's in orbit, you need resupply missions. If it's on a base, I have no idea. I've never done that before. Kerbal Engineers should be stocked because nearly everything, pretty much everyone uses it. Yeah, shouldn't adjust. What's MKS? MKS, I believe, is Modular Colonization System. MKS, USI, Umbra Space Industries, Modular Colonization Systems. I have all the stuff that is in there except for the life support. They have a different life support system that I'm not using. They have recycler units and mulch and a pretty cool greenhouse thing that they have in there. But I don't have this one. But for the rest, I have things such as habitation, habitation parts, habitation rings. That's pretty cool. Different modules. I quite like this, the idea of it. Look at the cool stuff that you can make. I haven't done this yet. This is the first game that I have this, and our Minimus base is going to be the first time that I'm going to be trying anything like this. So I'm very excited to see how that will go. Okay. Let's get ready for our maneuver. There. This is going to be a weird maneuver. I don't know if this is a very good idea, but this is how we're running it. Delete unclose, yes. Now we have 982, so we should absolutely have the delta V needed to do this. Used to calculate all the delta V and thrust weight, but that got boring after the first few times. Oh wow, I have not done that manually at all yet, because, well, for one, I wasn't quite sure how to do it, and then I quickly just found Kerbal Engineer, and I was like, yep, just using this one. It's fine. 2, 1, burn. That mod really isn't that needed, but I like it. Okay, this is less than optimal, but let's see if I can adjust it with RCS a little bit. Oh, I do want to be up there. There we go. That is the type of orbit that I'm looking for. Next up is circularizing this baby. There we go. When we get here, it will cost us 200. Excellent. The reason why I'm very pleased with that is because we have 900 delta V, so we'll have plenty of delta V left. So this baby can get another node. That is 1 day away. So let us check. Your battery is perpetual right about now. That is perfectly fine. We don't need you out of your shell just yet. Radiation, your pressure are fine. I don't want any information about you being in a storm, about your supply resources, just your batteries really. Don't need any script calls on you, and you're fine. So this one's happening. We will be working on that. That one's happening in 4 days. Turn to Kerbal from the surface of the month. So that might be something we want to do. Kerbal biome sat, we're going to be adjusting that one because that is annoying. This is definitely later. That is a case of wait. That is what we're doing right now. Kerbal in orbit. That is something we can do. That is one we're failing. That is for the space station. So, landing a rover is what we're doing, or recovering the Kerbal. Now I'm thinking, putting a Kerbal on the surface of the Mun, and rescuing this Kerbal, we can do both at the same time. If we just adjust our lander, and have one fewer Kerbal in it, I think we can do it. You've been wanting a colonization mod, but you had problems installing one. Okay, do you use CCAN? Because that made it super easy for me. I literally just clicked to install, and no problem. Now, before I do this, I keep forgetting to transfer the bookmark that I need from Firefox to Chrome. Let's see, interactive delta V planner. That is one that I want. Okay. Now I want to go from low orbit to the Mun to the surface. That's 640 milliseconds, meters per second. 640. Then I want to go from the surface to the surface of Kerbal. That's 980, so 1500, 1620. meters per second. I need at least 1620. Hold on, let's put this with a little bit more. Low orbit Mun to surface 640, surface to surface 980. Yeah, 1620. At least 1620 on the lander to get home safe. Now, I think I want to go with this. Here's a difficulty that I'm suddenly realizing. I wanted to install surface experiments, but that takes 3 Kerbals. Because you need... I'd like the pilot to steer the ship. I'd like the engineer to... I'd need the engineer to install the things and the scientist to run them. So it looks like that's not something we're going to be able to do. Now, if we're not going to be able to do that, we might as well go for a lighter pod. You've not used CCAN. You wanted to look into that, but you haven't. Not yet. What does it do? CCAN? Ah, prepare for your modding life to be so much easier. CCAN is a program that automatically installs mods for you. You basically put that exe in your Kerbal file, in like the main folder of the program. You double click it, and it gives you a list of all the mods which are guaranteed to work. And then you just click and say this one, apply, and it installs everything, all the necessary components. It makes everything easier about mods. Let's see, let's make this smaller. Now, that is enough Delta V to get us home. But let's see. Let's see. Once we start kitting this thing out. Because remember, 1620, I believe, is what I said, right? So we're gonna need to be kitting this baby out to give us all the functionality that we need. Let's see if we can move this ladder a little bit closer in to make it look cooler. Oh, don't want it clipping. There we go. I like that. And it looks good. Okay. Now, of course, if we're going to be landing, we're going to need landing struts. By the way, this is a new thing from... This is from the colonization mod, these stabilizers. And I like the idea that they're very wide pods. Their very idea is to just stabilize once you've landed. They're more for bases, from what I can see. And what was... Oh wait, I also had this other thing. It was a command module thing, wasn't it? Was it a oh wait, it was a ground thing. Here, this one's pretty weird. It has an electric charge. It has an inventory for Kerbal attachment. But look at these beautiful landers. Extend stabilizers. Boom. Very wide. Can you get CCAN if you already have mods? Would that mess it up? I don't know. I think it recognizes the mods. I mean, you can always boot it up because it doesn't install anything unless you tell it to. So you're safe there. You can just boot it up and see. Let's see, we're gonna need, if we're gonna do this as a re-entry vehicle, this thing is gonna need to withstand some re-entry heat. A little weird hat. Now that kills my Delta V. It's gonna be difficult. Okay. Now, I'll want some monopropellant. Want some monopropellant on this baby. But maybe not that much. This gives us very little though. That gives us, what, 36 monopropellant? I've always used far less than I brought though. And this also has some monopropellant. Maybe it might be worth more to, instead of using these, to use... See, this gives us 80. It might be worthwhile to, instead of using this, use one monopropellant tank in the middle. There we go, because that gives us 80, gets us more delta V. So we have more monopropellant, more delta V. This is what I like about tweak scale, by the way. It isn't always necessary that actually using tweak scale gives you better results. Now, we're gonna need some electricity. When you sent your Duna mission, your lander did not have wide enough landing gears. You had to keep reloading until you got it, and took like 10 attempts. Oh, yeah, that's the tricky thing about getting landers, which... I'm trying to keep this as squat as possible. That's why I wanted that short thing. Because the higher up you get, the easier they topple. So this thing, my goal is to make as much use of the... oh, that's not going to be good. To make as much use of the three-dimensional space that we have. To put things on tops and bottoms. Okay, Kerbal alarm clock, you're a little bit in the way, buddy. So that's why I'm trying to see if I can... There we go. Combine things. Put them in little nooks and crannies. Let's put that one over there. 005, 005. Oh, yeah, that's off center. Thank you. There. Now, the weight of these things don't really matter that much. Not in the grand scale. But, you know, it's a matter of personal pride. Geiger counters, yes. The magnetometer. Now, that's the thing I'm thinking I could put in like that. But I kind of like it to be half ensconced in part of the craft. So that, like that, you know, so that it's on the edge, and then when you click it, it sort of moves out like that. I don't think we even need that one. I think we've already done that. But that's okay, let's just make a standard lander. Now that we have that one on that end, we could kind of adjust this one to be here. Now this is one I would like to scale down. The only question is, do we scale it down twice or just the once? I think this is kind of enough. That way it saves a little bit on the price. Because, you know, lowering the price does... lowering the size does affect the price quite a bit. This is a package that we'll probably just have to put on the end there. Because it has these real big extendables. But fortunately they're only for space anyway. Oh, Science Junior. That is one we're gonna have to get somewhere. Now this will be expensive because we're gonna shrink that down. And put that somewhere. Maybe somewhere like there, that might be cool. Can I get it one large? Nah, that would clip. Just put that there like that. Now we don't need these scanners, but I would like some inventory space there. You can make it so for Kerbal Engineer you don't have to put on the part. Yeah, I know, there's, it's the same for MechJeb as well, where you can change it, but I'm okay with having it there. I think if I forget to put it on there, then I should, you know, feel the failure of not having put it there. I don't have that many experiments yet. What are those experiments? Not the D-Magic ones. Which ones do you mean, then? Because I think this is a D-Magic one, isn't it? That's a D-Magic one. That's D-Magic, yeah. That's D-Magic. So then the other ones, you're talking about the standard ones, the Geiger counter, the temperature, seismic accelerometer. Those are just the standard ones that are left. I mean, this is one just a normal Science Junior that I shrunk down. Oh wait, you're talking about these probably. These are surface experimental. That's why they have SEP in front of them. The ones at the bottom of the tab, yeah. So they're pretty cool. I haven't been able to show you those yet. I tried, but I broke them, and I won't be able to do it on this one either because we have space for 2 Kerbals. Darn it. These are very interesting. The surface experiment requires you to also have Kerbal attachment system because you can put them on the ground. You'll have to put down a central station on the ground, and then you attach like a weather station to it and a seismic experiment by using EVA items, the power transfer conduits that you have to make a link them to it, and then they take like 100 days to perform their experiment. But the cool thing is, you'd need to store them somewhere in an inventory, you'd need an engineer to install them, and then you need a scientist to run them. So I really like that design idea. It's pretty cool. Let's get some command and control. So that's something I really would like to try to play around with. But sadly, we haven't been able to do that yet. So when this empties, that moves up. But I think I'm going to use a cubic octagonal strut. You know what? Let's use a girder segment. And see if we can shrink this down. There we go, to look normal. Then adjust these. Maybe rotate them to make it look as though... There we go. To make it look as though these are there to support the structure. Maybe I can... Let's adjust these carefully. I don't want them to clip, but there. That's about as close as I can bring them. And it's cool. That makes it look like that's supporting the entire structure. And then I put the RCS on that bit. Oh, that's cool. You saw that, but it was not updated for 1.3. Maybe if you use CCAM because it was on an older version. Oh no, they work for 1.3. I've had them functional. I think they work at least. But yeah, I just use CCAN because it's convenient. It's easy. Let's see. We're getting very close to our limit. Getting very close. Ideally, I'd like to keep it at this. Nope, we are unable to keep it at this because I'm suddenly realizing I did not put any life support on it at all yet. So we still have to add supplies, plenty of supplies. But here's the upside. I will scrap... No, let's plan for 2. Here's the downside. Half of the trip it's going to be 1 Kerbal, but the other half there's going to be 2. So the downside is adding this will probably get us the duration that we need. Will that be enough? That gets us 7 days. Probably that will be enough, because if I remove this